10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome everybody. Today I'm here with Gregory. And Gregory, how are you doing?
Doing well as usual. How are you doing, Don?
Yeah, not too bad. The sun is shining still here, so we're into spring, and I'm getting more happy. But yeah, I think we're gonna be happy at the end of this stream as well because last stream you showed us something about integrating a DevExtreme React application into a WPF application. And if I'm not mistaken, today you're gonna communicate. Oh yeah, you're gonna put a bit more functionality in WPF versus DevExtreme. Am I correct?
Yeah, again, we're going to be playing around with WebView2 and some DevExpress controls, and it should be pretty interesting.
Cool. All right. Well, I think before we start, I can mention that we have the demo that you're building at the end of the stream, or is it already in? The latest version will be available on GitHub. The link should be in the chat box. And yeah, feel free to download and play around with it and see if it will suit your needs. So, yeah, Gregory, take it away.
Thanks, Don. As you said, we have the project I'm going to build today is on our GitHub page at DevExpress-live, and it's called WPF-Devextreme-demo. And so today we are going to be playing around with WebView. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start a new WPF project. And I'm going to be using the DevExpress WPF template gallery. This way we can use our themes and all kinds of cool stuff. Um, and on this laptop I'm using right now, I do have DevExtreme, or not DevExtreme, I should say DevExpress components installed, installed locally. So everything is ready to go for me here. And
Yeah, and I guess also it is important to mention that if you want to go the same approach, that you should go to our website and download our product installer because yeah, the design time features that we offer are only available once you have downloaded our product. Whether it is the evaluation version, you can test it out for 30 days, or you have a registered version already. Make sure that you have it installed on your local machine so you will have access to the project template gallery and a couple of other things that might be quite convenient when building WPF applications.
yeah, also important to note is we do offer a money back guarantee. So even if you get past the trial and you buy the stuff you find doesn't work for you, we do have a money back guarantee. So we kind of have a little bit of a extended trial, if you will.
Yeah, and that money back guarantee is, I think, for about 60 days. Am I right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So
All
I'm gonna
right.
change the name of this app. I'm gonna say DXWPF uh, Extreme, like that. Looks kind of interesting. I'm just
Sounds
gonna hit
cool.
create.
Extreme WPF or
Yeah, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit .NET up here on the top left, and I'm gonna stay with blank application, .NET 8, and I'm gonna use the lightweight themes. If we have time at the end, I'll play around with some more themes though, just because I think it's kind of cool.
yeah, we I happen to know that we have quite a bunch of themes for WPF as well as WinForms as well, and they look really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so Here's our project window. And I'll go ahead and just run this just so we can make sure it runs properly. And there's our window popping up there. So that's pretty nice. We get that, WPF normal kind of tooltip kind of thing. Oops. Looks like Visual Studio is getting excited there.
Yeah, it does do a lot of things. I mean, we have quite a bunch of design time features for WPF as well as WinForms. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
getting a bit busy.
yeah. Anyway, but first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some NuGet packages just because we're gonna be needing them, and I don't want to forget and have to come back here. I'm just gonna hit browse, go to all here, and the first thing I'm gonna do is just search JSON, get that so we can use JSON deserializing and stuff from this our favorite Newtonsoft. So I'll just hit install there. Give that a second. Next, what I'm gonna do is search for WebView2, and I'm just gonna go with the first one here, Microsoft.web.webview2. I'll install that as well. And I'll give that a
Yeah, I
second
think there is
as well.
also an ASP.NET Core Components WebView, the WPF package, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, the one
yeah,
one
this one down
down.
here. And finally, just so I don't have to come back here, I'm gonna search for DevExpress.wpf.themes, and I'm gonna go for the all right here, which includes all the themes. Of course, you can pick and choose whichever one you want to use, but we're gonna be looking through a number of them, so I'll just go with the
Yeah,
all
and
package.
I think it's important to mention here that you have selected as a package source, you have added, you selected all. These DevExpress packages, they are only available on your personal NuGet feed at DevExpress. So if you have an account and you have the product or you have the trial, you'll get a personal NuGet feed that you can configure inside Visual Studio. We have documentation on that as well. And yeah, that makes sure that these packages will show up. So be aware of that. If you try this out right now without installing a product or without configuring our NuGet feed, it won't work.
Yeah, you can either install it locally, like I have here with our installer, or you can use the NuGet feed.
Yeah.
Both work. And of course, I'm using the latest versions of pretty much everything. So I'll go ahead and open up the main window here. And so we could see it there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do something kind of cool. And I'm going to come in here and go to add DevExpress item and hit new item. And I'm going to go to splash screen. So I'm sure you're very familiar with this, Don. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
dream occasionally about it, how cool it is.
yeah. So what do you think? Do you think we should go with the fluent or themed?
Let's go for the themes since you have installed the themes already.
Good choice.
And
In
this is
the
actually one of the things that is important that you install, that you use our installer, so you'll get this add DevExpress item, etc. These are the design time features that we offer that I mentioned earlier.
yeah, so we get this cool little thing here. And if we scroll down in this SAML, make this bigger, we can see we have some sample code here.
Yeah.
So I can actually just go ahead and copy this. And I can go into my app.xaml.cs file here. And in there, I'll just put it in there. Right?
And it's not difficult.
Yep. Luckily, it's pretty simple. And so in here, I'm going to say, I'm just going to open this up a little bit so it's a little easier to read. Zoom in a bit. And so for the title, I don't know, I'm going to say WPF Devextreme demo. And the subtitle, I'm going to say grid and spreadsheet. I forgot that little comma there. Fix this formatting. And I'm going to say copyright is copyright 2024 DevExpress. I'm going to put in a escape key right there. New line. All rights reserved, just like that. Okay, so we want to see what this looks like. And if I start the app right now, what's going to happen is it's just going to kind of show up and then disappear. So the way we can actually see what this looks like is in here in this show on startup method here. We can just put in false, and this is for a property called auto close. And if we put it to false, it will just stay open even when the app is loaded, so we could see how it looks. So I'll go ahead and start without debugging. So we'll just give this a second, and there we could see how it looks.
Oh yeah.
So as you can see, I put in this copyright message, our title and subtitle, and we could put in a logo down here, an image. I don't obviously have one, but you can put in whatever you want there, or you just get rid of it, of course. So
Cool.
yeah, and the Fluent design theme kind of looks like that, well, the Fluent design where it has like the dots going across, and that's kind of the idea there. However, when we change themes towards the end, we can see how it changes. This is kind of like kind of an old school kind of theme, but
yeah,
with say like a Windows 11 theme, it does actually change, and it looks more like that classic Office Windows 11 look. And so I can go ahead and close that. And of course, I accidentally closed everything on my desktop. And just quickly, the splash screen, there's pretty much nothing there. If I go to the XAML here and I scroll down, we can see we have, these bindings in here. And so, yeah, I mean, it's relatively simple to customize and pretty much do whatever you want. And yeah, but with our, after we use our installer, it's nice and easy to add things like this splash screen or ribbons and all kind of stuff, nice and quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and close that down. And I thought it'd be interesting to show everyone. So if you notice on that app, when I opened it, the corners were squared off. So it doesn't quite look right with Windows 11 here. Our themes change that when you change the themes. However, if you want to stick with a particular theme and you want to change it yourself, you can do that. And so I'm going to show quickly how to do that. So I'm going to come here and say protected override void on startup, and I'll just hit tab and it'll auto-complete that for me. And I'm going to say themed window dot round corners equals true. And now if I start this app, we see we get round
nice.
corners.
Yeah.
So that's just a simple little, overriding the base on there. And we can close that for now. And what we want to do here is we kind of want two halves, where we have one half, which is our web view, and one half, which is going to be a spreadsheet control. So let's go ahead and start working on that. And so the first thing we're going to do is just adjust this right here. I'm going to say EX WPF grid for our title. And if we jump up here, we have this, little tools here, little properties thing. And we can come here and say title alignment. We could change that to center. So that's a cool little thing we could do there. As you can see, we have themes here. And we can change them as we want because we installed that themes package. So they're all available to us. We'll leave it as it is for now and we'll come back to it. And just right here, just a cool little styling detail. I'm going to say header background is Dodger blue.
Oh, that's always a good blue.
Yeah. For all the Dodger fans out there, I guess.
Exactly. But wouldn't that be like part of the theme that you're currently running, or?
Yeah, it could kind of integrate into there, but I'm just kind of setting it manually just because I think it looks cool. I think it might sort of just look nice with what we're doing. It's just kind of like a small little detail that I don't think many people kind of know about, that you can do that with our themed windows. But I just thought I'd kind of show all that off if, no one's seen that before.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
because what you're showing here is that normally if you would create like a WPF application, it will have like a different window type basically. But because you have used our DevExpress project template, we'll have our own base window, which is the themed window, which allows you to have these extra things, right?
Yep.
And I guess that if you already have an existing WPF application and you want to enable these kind of features, then you can actually change it in your XAML code and make sure that the window is based on the themed window from DevExpress, and then you'll have that same stuff, right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, we have documentation that explains how to convert.
I'm pretty
So,
sure we have, yeah.
yeah. And so right here, I'm just going to add some columns. And so just two different columns. And as we can see, we have a line in the middle of our window here.
Yeah, this is typically a WPF thing. Like you can have like a grid or a stack panel or whatever to arrange elements on your form. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to come below here and I'm going to paste some stuff in here. So looks like the formatting got messed up, as it does. I'll go ahead and fix that quickly. Okay, so essentially what I have here is just a DevExpress simple button control here. And our button, of course, follows our theming and all that. And it's in the first, column of that grid. I set these height and margin properties. Vertical alignment is top. I create a, click function here, which I'll have to create in a second. All the font have a text block in there. And the text for that button is just going to say transfer, because the idea is we're going to transfer data between the web view and our WPF controls here. And so, yeah, that's just about it. And as we can see up here, we have this little transfer thing up here. And I'll go ahead and double click on that so we can get that function created in there so we don't get any errors. And we're going to go ahead and try building this so we could see it. And yeah, so there we have that button. So that's all working. I don't know about you, Don, but with WPF, every time I change something, I rebuild it pretty much every single time. It gets nice and
There is a
annoying.
hot reload feature, but yeah, that's obviously one of the things with WPF. I mean, all your layouting is done by XAML, and yeah, that is the stuff that we're looking at right now.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the WebView2 thing in here and without dragging it in from the toolbox. Maybe it's just my background in web, but I find it much faster just to type it out. Anyway, so I'm just going to give it a name of WebView grid.column is going to be 0. So it's in that first column. The margin is going to be 0, 35, 0, 0. And the source is going to be a file called grid.html. And I'll go ahead and import the WPF web view into there. And we can see we have the web view in there. And I'm going to go into my toolbox. And we'll give that a second. And I'm going to see right here, actually, we have our spreadsheet control right here under DevExpress 23.2, which is our current version. And so I'm just going to drag the looks like we have to let that refresh real quick. Sorry about that. Try that again. Let's put our spreadsheet in there. And there we go.
Oh, cool. And yeah, obviously for all of you new to WPF and our WPF controls, this spreadsheet control, you will not be needing any Office versions installed. This is a standalone control, which is able to work with the Office Excel files, right?
Yep. It's basically Excel, but just without Excel. I mean, just classic spreadsheet. It's
And without the
pretty
licensing
cool.
of Office.
Yeah, of course. You just have to get the license from us.
Exactly.
Yeah, so basically with our spreadsheet, I'm just going to kind of leave the default. So the command bar style, I'm just going to leave to ribbon. Of course, it's in the right side of the window there. The status bar, I'm going to set it to true. And the formula bar, I'm going to set that to true as well. So I'm just the defaults there. And so we can go ahead and run it again. And we'll give that a second. And of course, we don't have our HTML file yet, but our spreadsheet is here and everything's working.
It looks like Excel, right?
Yeah, I mean, it works exactly the same. You have formulas and all that. And you could, create tables and all that kind of cool stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and close that. And so what we can do is we can get started on our HTML file. I'm going to call it grid.html. And for this HTML file, I'm just going to paste some stuff over. And I'm going to add this body tag and this HTML closing tag. And as we can see, just sort of our standard boilerplate here. In here, I have the jQuery script in there, our Devextreme style sheet in here. So this is our, our CDN for Devextreme. And we have this dx.all.js script in here, which is just going to be all of our Devextreme packages essentially. So yeah, and for this, of course,
so now you're able to include any DevExtreme control in combination with jQuery.
Yeah, and of course I am using jQuery just because obviously we can't really, run a spa app inside there, so we kind of have to do it this way. But still, I mean, a huge number of websites are using jQuery anyway, so it's not too bad, I would
they're
say.
actually coming up with a new version.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or it's already out.
Yeah, so for our body tag here, we just have to give it a class of dx-viewport. That's kind of our standard, just so our styles work. And I'm just going to say h1, and let's say AV product. And in here, I'm going to say div with an ID of data grid. And I'm just going to leave it right there. And that's it for now. That should be fine for now. And I'm going to jump into our main window .xaml.cs file here. And this is kind of where we have to get our web view working. So what I'm going to do is just under our main window here, I'm going to create a function, an async function called init WebView. And I'm going to say await WebView dot ensure core WebView2 async. And I'm just going to pass in null. I'm going to say string file name equals $, environment dot current directory grid.html. And down here, I'm going to say file, .exists file name. So we just have some error checking there. And in here, I'm going to say WebView.source equals new URI $quote file :/ and file name there. And that looks correct. And so I'm just going to leave that for now. And I'm going to call this function just like that. And we should have that. Yeah. The file namespace there, file.io or whatever it is.
Yep.
And looks like it's still not quite working there. Make sure it's correct.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that current directory is the right path, because I think that will be somewhere in your bin folder. If you put a breakpoint on that line, that file name equals environment.
I
Can't see the line
actually,
anymore.
so this is actually one of those little annoying things. So what we have to do is we have to right click this grid.html.
Yeah.
And on copy to output directory, we have to say copy if
Gotta
newer.
copy it to the bin
Yeah.
folder. Yeah.
That's kind of our thing here. And I'll start the app again, and now it should be fine.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Cool.
So that's just a little thing we have to take care of. It's funny, if I didn't know about that, it would have taken me, I don't know, 6 months to figure that out. I don't know.
You could have just sent me an email or a message, man. I could have told you.
Yeah.
In a second.
Yeah, so now what we need to do is we need to get data out of this HTML file. So this JavaScript here, we need to get it out of there and put it into our WPF app.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the next step. And it's kind of easier said than done. It's a little bit of it's kind of weird how it works. But basically, all I need to do is, have some functions in here. And so let's go ahead and get started with that. So I'm gonna have just a script tag in here, and I'm gonna say $, function, open these braces here, and say var product store equals new DevExpress.data.o data store. And I'm going to say the URL is js.devexpress.com/demo/dev/av/o data/products. And this is just one of our demo APIs.
I was just gonna ask you that. This is available for testing purposes, I guess.
Yeah. And it's just going to be, the key is going to be this product ID field, and I'm going to say version 3. So just the version 3 of the, the OData store. And I'll put a semicolon in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up our data grid. And I forgot the hashtag. I wonder where it became, where it's a hashtag instead of a pound symbol.
Yeah, that's been some time ago since somebody decided it was gonna be the hash.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird
Tell you
things.
that.
Like growing up, it was always the pound symbol for me. I mean, I'm old enough where it was, you know, press pound to enter on the phone and stuff.
You're absolutely right, but maybe it is because of Twitter lately, X, which
Yeah,
has the hashtag or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Anyway, so just for this data grid here, so I just put in, you know, the ID in there, and then I have this data source, which is this product store up here, and I'm just going to set some columns, and I'm going to paste that in there just so I don't have to type all this boilerplate out.
Yeah, and
And
this can
so,
be found the way that you're doing it right now is also what we have on our documentation website, right? Or on our demo site, actually, that will have the same structure
yeah, very
to
similar.
show the data.
And so down here, I'm going to say filter row. So this is just all of our, you know, DevExtreme web stuff. So I'm going to say visible is true. Down here, I'm going to say focused row enabled is true. Show borders is true. And I'm going to set up some editing, even though we can't honestly modify the data in this data store here in this API. I thought it'd be fun just to show how it would look. So I'm just going to say
Sure.
allow updating is true. Allow adding is true. And allow deleting there. And finally, the editing mode, I'm going to set to row. Down here, I'm going to say paging. So I'm going to set up some paging for us. And I'm going to set the page size to 10 by default. And down here, I'm going to say pager. Visible is true. And I apologize that I'm not able to sort of switch back and forth so we can see all this happening. It's just, you know, I kind of just have to do it all at once so we can make it work with our WPF stuff. So sorry about that.
Well,
And
I
then
mean, it's
yeah,
quite
go ahead.
clear what this will end up with, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say show page size selector is true, and just everything is just seems like it's true. And say allow page sizes is gonna be 10, 20, and all just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say show navigation buttons is true. So that's quite a mouthful. I'm gonna add some semicolons there. And of course, we aren't quite finished yet. So what I need to do here, I mean, there's probably a way to do it all in one. I just kind of did it separately just so we can see. I'm going to add another function here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get all of our data from that data store. And I'm just going to do it separately because the way we do things with our grid is slightly different, and I don't want to, get it confused and causes problems. So I'm just going to say $sign get JSON. So this is just the jQuery function. And again, it's going to be that same data source. And here it's going to be a function which takes in a parameter. I'll open that up. And inside here, I'm going to say var products equals an empty array. I'm going to say for var I equals 0i is less than data dot value dot length. And so this is just going to be the length of this data right here. So this is what we're going to get back from our API there. And of course, I'm just going to increment that I. Open up the braces there. And here I'm going to say var obj, so just a simple object with these key and values is just going to get this data back, and it's going to create a array of these objects, these JSON objects, and that's what we're going to sort of send back to our WPF app, basically. And so under here, I'm going to say products.push, and it's going to be that object that we create every time we go through this loop here. And under here, I need to say window.chrome.webview.postMessage products. And this is how we're going to send that data out. So it just this one line after all this code to send that out.
What is that WebView? Yeah, that WebView is obviously based on Edge, I guess, which is based on Chrome. That's why it says window.chrome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's just what they called it. When we run this, it's just gonna, send all our whatever data we want in here out. And so, yeah, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the nice experience of reading through thousands of lines of Microsoft documentation. So I'm sure everyone can have some fun with that. WebView is pretty complicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, best of luck to everyone, I guess. Yeah, so if we jump back here into our main window, I'll start this
so maybe
again.
you can show that that data grid.
Yeah.
Has it already run?
So if I just restart this, it should work. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Cool. Oh, that
I'll
looks
make
great.
this bigger. And
Yeah.
so if you remember, we added this page sizing and the pager here. So we can kind of go in between pages. We have this thing where we can add, by rows. We can sort. We have, lots of different options here for sorting, filtering, all that good stuff. Of course, it's because it's basically just, our web app in here. We could have every feature of our data grid essentially. So that's nice and cool. And so, yeah, I'll go ahead and close that out for now. If you notice, I use the dx.softblue theme here.
Yeah.
And our themes, you can use pretty much any of our themes you want. So I have them open here. So we could use any of these, as well as our Fluent themes down here.
Oh yeah.
So like, for example, I could say fluent.blue.light. And just for some fun, I'll change that really quick here. So let's just see how that looks.
Yeah, you just copied it over from the documentation, and now we should see something slightly different. Yeah,
Yep.
it looks different.
Yeah, and we get these nice icons here instead of the text. We get these,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, round buttons. So yeah, it's just that Fluent
Sweet.
Microsoft theme. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that wasn't too much work.
So
All
I'm gonna
right.
go ahead and close this grid.html file. We're basically done with that. So what we need to do quickly is we need to add a new object. So I'm gonna call it product. And for this, I'm just gonna add some properties in here. And this is actually correct. And it's gonna be a category. And in case everyone hasn't noticed, I'm using Code Rush. So any of you
Yeah,
fans
you
out there?
It's one of my, yeah, I am. It's one
Yep.
of my favorite tools in Visual Studio.
So I'm just gonna name these things the same as we did in our web app side, just because the naming, of course, we want to keep it the same so it works. And I'm gonna call this last one retail price. So those are the 4 properties we have. However, these I'm gonna change from string to dynamic. And that's just because we're gonna have text for our header columns and numbers for the rest of the data. So I'm just gonna change the dynamic. It's a sort of a quick and easy way to do it. Theoretically, we could have you know, constructor and we can change it and that kind of stuff, but this is just like a nice simple way to do it because, you know, of course, it's not really a C# tutorial, but you know, we do the best we can. So now what we're going to do in this main window CS file is I'm going to create a I'm just write down here. I'm going to say string grid data. And this is just going to hold the JSON that we get back from our web view. Down here, I need to create a function. So basically with our web view, we need to get this data out. Right now, we're just kind of making sure that everything is working and the file exists and that kind of thing. So we need to get this data out and put it into this grid data variable up here. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a function called WebView_message. And it's going to get an object sender. And it's going to be core WebView2 web message received event args. I'm just going to call it args. Open up the braces there. And I'm going to say grid data is equal to args dot web message as JSON there. And IntelliSense is kind of working overtime here. which is nice to see. And so down here under this if statement here in this init web view, what I need to do is say WebView.core WebView2 dot web message received plus equals WebView message, just like that. So this WebView message is this function here. And so when this is called, it's going to add whatever we get into there, something like that. You can read up on the docs. It's nice and confusing, but there we go. Yeah.
All right.
So basically, that's just how we're going to get this data into this grid data string right there. So that's about it. So here in this simple button click, where if we remember that just when we click this button that says transfer, what we need to do here is we need to get our, basically just get our worksheet in here and import the data. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to say worksheet sheet equals dx spreadsheet dot document, and it's going to be 0, just like this. Or actually, it's going to be document dot worksheets 0, like that, and 0 is just going to be the first worksheet in our spreadsheet. However, I forgot to name the spreadsheet, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this quickly, jump over and click on our spreadsheet, go to the properties, and wait for that to open. And I'll give it a name of DX spreadsheet. And this should be happy now. I don't know why it's not. And we'll ignore it for now. What we're going to need, oops. We're going to need a new list of products. And I'm going to say product list. And I'm going to set it to JSON convert dot deserialize object list of product, and it's going to be the grid data. So essentially, we're just going to take that grid data that we're getting out, that JSON string, and convert it and put it into this list called product list. And it's just going to be a list of objects. And what we need to do first, though, is we need to create our headings for our spreadsheet. So basically, the first row, we want headings. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a new product object, and I'm going to insert it at the beginning of that list.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
because the spreadsheet obviously doesn't have any column headers, or at least you can put them on the first line or whatever.
yeah, so that's how we're going to kind of just cheat the system and make it faster for us.
Yeah.
We could also do it manually in the spreadsheet, but this is just faster. So I'm going to create a variable called row index, and this is just going to help us keep track of the rows because we want to start from the index of 1 rather than 0 because we have those headers.
Yeah.
and create a cell range called range. And this is part of the spreadsheet. If I jump up here, our DevExpress.spreadsheet using statement up there. And it's going to be product list.count for our range here. And let's say string table row equals string.format. And then have 2 zeros here. And it's going to be row index. So essentially the table row format is going to be, like let's say 1, 1, 2, 2, that kind of thing. So it's the same.
Oh, yeah.
And to set the range here to the sheet that we created above, and it's going to be table row. So the range is going to be this table row string right here. So it's going to be like 1, 1, 2, 2, that kind of thing for the range. And of course, the range is the cell range.
And another thing which is quite cool is that we have a really big API on how to manipulate those Excel sheets by code, basically.
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing.
Yeah, this is all from our docs where we don't have something exactly like this, but I kind of just pieced together a couple different things, and we have some GitHub examples as well that I drew from. This is kind of a very unique kind of implementation, so we don't exactly have an example. That's why I thought it'd be interesting to do something like this.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to say sheet dot data bindings dot bind to data source, and it's going to be product list I and the range. So this function takes in what we want to put in there and the range, and so that's how we're going to bind the data into our data source or into our spreadsheet. And right here I'm just going to increment that row index right up here.
Oh, yeah.
And down here, so if we did this right now, what would happen is we wouldn't be able to edit the spreadsheet because it would be bound to a data source. So what we need to do is we need to just unbind it after we're done importing it, so we can edit it and modify it, save it, print it, all that good stuff. So I'm going to say dx spreadsheet dot document dot worksheets 0 dot data bindings dot clear. And so that's just going to get rid of our data binding. And so it's going to work very nicely for us. And with this little annoyance here,
oh yeah,
where it's just giving me this annoying little error, what I need to do is I just need to specify the whole namespace there.
Oh yeah, there's a namespace conflict somewhere.
Yeah, so I'll just do that really quickly, no big deal. And I'll run the app. And we can give it a second. Let it load up with that nice splash screen.
Yep.
Make this nice and big, and fingers crossed when I hit this. Oh, there we go.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, all of our data is in there. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Kind of cool. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, everything works here, and these are all numbers. They're not strings because I set that that field to dynamic. So that all works well, even though we have these things here. Looks like I forgot to add a space in there, but that's okay because we can go ahead and just edit it. So that's nice. And we can say, like, let's say we grab these two here and we say insert a, let's just put some kind of chart.
Cool. Gregory, could you show a theme change in the application? People are asking if we could change the theme of the app.
For the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
yeah, we can go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and close that. So if I jump back to the main window .xaml here, and I
Yeah.
mean, this is actually a good place because I was going to get to the theme right now anyway, because I mean, everything works. If we jump here just to the little, you know, what you call
Yeah.
a little light bulb there, or sorry, we need to jump. I need to click on the themed window, and then in here, like let's say I'm gonna go with this Windows 11 Lite. I mean, did anyone
Yeah.
want to see a specific theme? I mean, we could do that too. I mean, we have a
Well,
number
I
of
have
them.
somebody here change the theme to default, but yeah, we could do that as well, obviously.
To default. I mean, this is the Office
Yeah, I mean,
theme is
well,
kind
yeah,
of
you
the default theme.
pick any of those Office themes. Might be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Here, let's try the Windows 11 theme.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very cool. So remember that splash screen?
Yeah.
So let's keep an eye on the splash screen and see how it changed. You notice the difference there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that changes as well. And yeah, so if you could see, we have our different theme there. So it looks a lot more like, more of a modern Excel kind of ribbon there. And so, yeah, and this is
Yeah.
kind of our Windows 11 theme. Of course, our web app side of things stays the same.
Yeah, you will need to specify a different style sheet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And interestingly, if you remember, we set that rounded corner property
Yeah.
where I overrode that base class.
Yeah.
If we have our Windows 11 theme, it actually doesn't matter. And we can get rid of that and it would automatically have the rounded corners. So we don't actually need to set that
Okay.
if
Yeah.
we're using certain themes. And we have a chart on in our documentation that shows like what theme has what corner properties and stuff by default. Even though I set it manually, you can do that as well. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for the question that we got in the chat box, I guess it makes sense that once you start playing around yourself with this stuff, you can play around with the themes and make it suit your needs. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a here, let's go with the dark theme. And what I'm also gonna do is
Oh yeah, change the grid style sheet as
yeah,
well.
go in there. I'm gonna say blue dot dark. If I run the app, we can see how this changes again.
Yeah, that looks already different.
And we have that dark theme on both sides.
Cool.
So yeah, nice, you know, consistent theming there. And of course,
Yep.
our spreadsheet, I mean, our spreadsheet is basically Excel. I mean, I don't really
Yeah.
think there's any functionality that Excel has that we really don't have, like this format cells here. Like we have all these different options here and, you know, different views, all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
and I think it is nice to mention that we always, yeah, we strive to be like fully compatible with Excel documents in this case. Uh, if you encounter like an issue with any of the documents that can't be read properly by our Excel control, yeah, please touch base with our support. See if you can hand over the file so we can actually analyze to see what's going wrong. Because yeah, as mentioned, we try to be like full office compatible. Um, And yeah, we have a dedicated team that will take care of making sure that we can read all the features and bells and whistles.
Yeah, that's right. So again, you can still see that splash screen there, but of course, everything resizes properly,
Yeah,
and it's yeah, I mean, like considering the complexity that's in here, like the speed at which I did this is kind of the most impressive part to me. Where you have a spreadsheet, you have a web app here, data grid, like all these things would take quite a while to do manually. So it's just really, I don't know. It's one of the things where we're kind of used to it, being able to do stuff this quick. But it is
yeah,
pretty
but
amazing when you step back and kind of think about it.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, especially if you consider that the left pane on the form that we're looking at, the AV products, is actually a web application which is able to communicate with that native WPF control.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and hit
That
the
is
button
pretty
again.
cool.
And
Yeah,
it's pretty quick. Like this is like it's not a release build or anything like that. It's not optimized or anything, and it's still very quick.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And my laptop here is like barely able to even run Visual Studio, let alone big apps. So it's
Yeah, but
pretty
I mean, our
impressive.
controls, our WPF controls are highly optimized, and yeah, that we have been working on them for quite some time now. So
Yep.
yeah, really cool.
And before I forget, just quickly
Oh yeah,
here,
let's get that flag out of the way.
yeah, we can just get rid of that. I can't remember in the GitHub repo whether I left that in there or not. I think I might have, just so we could see it. Um, just quickly, I can show the Fluent Design one too, just so we could see how it looks.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to do the same thing, add DevExpress item. I'm going to hit splash screen. That's fine. Just leave it on Fluent, add item. We get that splash screen 2 here. We don't really need to wait for it. I'm just going to change this from splash screen 1 to 2.
oh yeah,
And I will start the app again. And we'll give it a second to build. And there's that
nice.
Fluent splash screen there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And so just
Yeah, that was
whatever
uh,
you prefer, we got it.
yeah.
Yeah, so that more or less is all I had for today. So
Cool.
what is that? Like a minute 5, we an hour 5, we were
Yeah,
able to build that whole thing. So that's not too bad.
that was certainly not too bad, and yeah, I think we can round things up here by mentioning again, if you want to play around with this, make sure that you download our product installer. Uh, you can even do it with the trial version. You can test it out for 30 days. We have, after those 30 days, you can buy a license and you'll still have 60 days money back guarantee. But make sure you install it before running the demo. That makes life a lot easier. Um, And yeah, I think for next week, on Tuesday, it's gonna be me and Amanda with another Blazor episode. On Wednesday, you'll be back with me, I guess, Gregory.
Yeah, I still haven't decided what we're gonna do, but we're probably gonna
Same
jump
here.
back into some web app stuff. Maybe some Angular. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, keep the agenda posted. For now, thank you for watching and hope to see you next week. Thank you.